Welcome back, everybody, to Be the Trader. Today, I have three very special guests, people that I've been following for quite some time. When I actually first started getting the Instagram game and started watching people trade. And it's funny, these three young men actually started out just kind of like everyone else starts out. They started out trading by, working full time, trading part time, and they were actually trading from their phones, which is something a lot of people are scared to do, and they were able to do it and then be successful at it to where now they have their own business where they trade together and teach others how to do the exact same thing. And they recently have been able to actually go full time themselves, which is a great story. So I want to welcome Stock Snipers. Stock Snipers, hey, welcome to the show, guys.
Hey,
What's going on?
what's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I'm glad to have you guys on the show. Like I mentioned, I've been following y'all for some time now, and it's great to see everybody. And so it's Mike on my screen, looking towards the screen. It's Mike on the left, which is on the right on y'all side, but left side's Mike, Nick in the middle, and Alex, just like the other best name on this planet. Right. It's great to have you guys on the show, man. It's funny, man. It's like I've been watching y'all for some time grow, and I feel like for the past couple of years, and it's just been cool to see y'all get things together. So if you can start off by kind of telling me, how did it all really start? Like, who started trading first? Where did it come? Where did the passion start?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, before we start real quick, I'm going to give out one quick tip for everybody real quick. Ready? If the stock has an AL in it, we usually buy it.
That's a what? Sorry, what?
Damn, baby. It's an AL thing. You know what I'm saying? It's an AL thing. We made a lot of money off that. There's AL stocks out there.
AL stocks? I don't know about that.
Big shout out. You got ALPP.
Yeah,
Do you follow that one?
Uh-huh. No,
Yeah.
is that like is that an OTC?
Yeah, it's an OTC.
Oh,
yeah.
see, I stay on small cap land, big caps.
There you go. Okay, all right. This is good, man. Yeah, you'll come to find out that's mostly where we're hanging out in the OTC land. So.
Okay. I met a couple of great OTC traders like Jack Kellogg,
Yeah.
Kyle Williams. I mean, they're killing OTC land, and it's got me kind of questioning, like, maybe I should start dipping over there, man.
Why not? Like I feel like it's underrated, the market, honestly, and you're going against people that aren't as educated and a lot of new people, because there's a lot of people that are trying to hit big in this market for whatever the case is. We've just been hanging out in it for so long, and we found consistency. So it's just one of the markets that we're going to stay in,
Yeah, talking about OTCs, like one of the biggest things for me that I would think is that while you're trading OTCs is if you got to watch level 2, at least from my perspective, you got to watch level 2 and you can have that quick slippage. So I'm so curious on how you guys are able to do that. Well, because when y'all first started, you were on your phone trading and watch level 2 there and trying to make your executions. Like, how do you have those kind of like cojones to hold, you know what I'm saying? Because like I've been in OTC land at the very beginning, and I can tell you that if I don't have my actual computer up, man, you could have some slippage. It's hard to track that. How did you guys kind of figure that out?
Yeah. And listen, we're still trading on the phone. That's all we're doing. Like now that we're full time, we still have we have the computer in front of us, which is awesome. But we're still making the executions on the phone.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And the biggest thing I would say, regarding that, it's funny because we've been asked a couple of times about slippage and stuff like that, and it's never been a concern with us. Trading on TD Ameritrade's Thinkorswim platform on the phone, we've never had that kind of situation. But one of the key things for us and what made us so consistent is, our biggest factor, which seems to be a lot of top traders' biggest key indicator, and it's risk management. And so when we get into these OTCs, man, if it doesn't have good support, we're not just going to get into one that's just ripping up, It's got to create a story. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's stock. It is. At the end of the day, it's the stock telling its story to us. And, if it's a stock that has a history of slippage and it has a history where it spikes big and falls hard, or it's just a spike and big and no support, we're going to stay away. So it's really, we try not to bring in more problems. Like, never experience slippage, man.
Yeah. So you guys are really trying to basically wait for it to build that key support over a long period of time, maybe a couple of hours, obviously, so that we can have a key area instead of just jumping in right away. That makes sense.
For the OTCs, yeah, for one of our setups for the OTCs, that's the key part of it. It's like it's really interesting to see because it's, throughout the day, you're allowing this thing to paint that picture for you. So as you see it more and more, it gets, easier for you to tell. It's almost like if you're sitting in front of an artist or something like that. And at first you may not know anything that he's doing, like when you first see him sit down. But after time, you end up seeing the picture clear and clear. And then the more you sit in front of that same pattern or that same artist, the more familiar you're going to get with it,
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Just to give a people kind of a perspective, is it really for you guys? Did y'all kind of just stick with one kind of strategy at first, or did y'all kind of like have multiple strategies? Just curious on how you started.
It was all over the place. It's changed from time, man. We've evolved for sure. I mean, I think everybody out there, everyone has to realize in the stock market, we have to start somewhere. Everyone's journey has to start somewhere, and someone's not going to be as good at something, like anything in life than you are. Like you might have better traits than I do, so you got to jump around, figure out what exactly you're good at. In our case, we were literally throwing darts at almost everything at one point, for sure. Just trying to find out what exactly worked. Because, I mean, you can't find out what works exactly until you try it. For us, experience was key in the stock market. We do see paper traders out there that do test, and we love it, and we do promote practicing. But we think the emotional part and actually putting your money and trying it out is what really is going to make you the trader. That's of who you are. That's a good point. So when you start to do that, and when we started to do it, we did it individually at first, but us collectively, when we started to do it together, I think that's when we started to actually bold into a strategy. But yeah, at first it was darts all over the place. Yeah, you're just shooting.
So when you did individually, so tell me about that at the beginning. So you say you started trading individually first, right? And then y'all started trading, because what I recall is y'all had one account and y'all just kind of shared it at first. Is that kind of how it was? So kind of give me some understanding of, the initial question was, where did y'all start, or who brought trading? Who brought trading to the group?
That was Nick. It's always Nick.
Nick's drifting off the wall.
Already from the beginning.
That was the help trade that we were talking about.
Yeah.
But no, it all started in college. So it was about 5-6 years ago. It was sophomore year of college. Just trying to figure out. Us three have actually been best friends all our life. We've been friends, not all our life, but since middle school. We actually had our first job ever together. We were busboying at an Italian restaurant.
Crazy,
so we know how it is to kind of get the hustle. Then we were waiters. So, to get $50 a check, you really get to see the value of money add up. And then we found the stock market. And it was more just us wandering, trying to find something that makes you more money, looking for other things, because we know like the picker hustle. Yeah, we were just trying to make more money. So
absolutely
stumbled across, I would say, the TV at first. Jim Cramer. He's a little crazy.
Oh yeah, really?
You gotta love Jim. So yeah, we watched him. I was in Tallahassee, Florida State at the time. Jim actually started his career in Tallahassee. He was at the Tallahassee, the newspaper. That's where he actually started his whole thing. But yeah, so we started with him. I love him. Some people talk bad about him, but his energy.
I haven't heard anybody say anything good except today.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? No, the energy is contagious, man. Like you, man. That's good stuff. It's good stuff. Like you've been sending it since the beginning. So that's what Jim did, and he kind of grabbed us into the market. And at first, it was more just trying big stocks out. So we had almost like $1,000 at first, and you're throwing in slower stocks like airline stocks.
I had no idea.
Rite Aid.
No idea.
Big name stocks that really don't move a lot in the day, but they do move. And we struck luck. I mean, my first stock I picked, I got really lucky. It was Rite Aid, a company that literally, I would visit my family in the north, and they were up there, but they weren't in Florida. So I thought I knew something. I thought I had an advantage. So I'd buy Rite Aid stocks, and it doubled. And it happened in a year. But for that to happen was
awesome.
Really cool, and to make 1,000, it's 2,000.
Yeah.
Didn't work. I didn't work at all for it. Was really cool, and we told each other about it, and everyone started to really get into it. Alex was actually studying finance as well. This was before, right as we were deciding what we're going to study. Yeah. So we kind of just picked it together. We're going to go into this. He studied finance, I studied finance, and Nick was doing marketing at the time. But it just shows you the stock market isn't something you need to study finance. It's something anybody can pick up. The school's level didn't really teach me everything I know. When I left school, I actually learned more after just experimenting in the stock market. Yeah. So that's how it all started, man. It was the Rite Aid mania. We sold it. Then we actually got into that cannabis craze of 2014.
Yeah. I saw that happen. I saw that happen.
To penny stocks.
So
That's when we got into
we got to see that huge boom. We were there when Colorado first legalized it. So for the first state, we watched it and our money was in it. So, but this time our money was in it, like in love with it. Like we think we found the next gold mine.
Yeah.
So at first, we did, because Rite Aid, it took us a year to double our money. We found a cannabis stock. It was CANN, which is a different stock now.
Yeah, Can. I remember
Still
that.
there.
It still can. It was all. It is a whole.
It was fucking crazy. I think that was one of them. But
Medbox was.
It was Medbox. That's what it was.
It was
which is completely gone.
MDBX.
If you look it up,
2014 company.
the idea is retarded.
It's like a vending machine for dispensaries.
But we doubled our money in a day. So that 1 year turned into a day.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit!
I bet someone wanted to celebrate that day. That's awesome.
That was
it. Dude. That's what we're gonna do.
Well, that was the problem. You know, we thought we found out life. You know, we thought we were gonna figure it out. I thought I was gonna buy like a Beamer the next day or something.
I'm telling you.
So what we did was, so what we did at first is we just experimented, and this is where the experiment really hit us hard. Was we thought we knew everything, and we were just throwing a lot of money in these cannabis stocks, and they were going up, and we were making a lot. I actually made almost like 6,000 from the 2,000 that I had, and then all of it vanished within like the next year because we were long terming and we were just trying to figure this thing out.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So this was like 2014, 15.
Yeah, it was a 14, 15, thinking that these companies are legit, thinking that they're actually gonna, be a company in the long run.
They all just seemed so promising. It was our first time really seeing penny stocks, and just the company just seemed everything they were talking about. Yeah. Every company.
And these were all OTCs, right? Correct? These all ones, the Medbox and all of that.
Or like Canopy Growth even showed up. Or Canopy Growth was Tweed. Tweed was about $1, $2 at the time, so they were OTC. And Tilray was not even existent. So none of these big stocks are even existing yet. And this is blowing our mind. So now our mind's blown up. Yeah. And we actually, at the time, we've always had business minds and we've always wanted to help others. We've always wanted to get rich together. It wasn't really a scheme like, I want to do this by myself and figure it out. We always told each other about it. So we actually started a little thing. It was a business before this business. And it's funny, if you go on Facebook, we had like 1 follower. But it was called Green Rush In. And it was just us talking about weed stocks. Yeah. And that's all we did.
On Facebook.
We made it was weed stocks only. But then once you realized after a year was gone that weed stock mania disappeared. And it was like, oh shit.
It was wild. We were like
what the hell? What exactly happened?
They all went down.
We lived through the pump and dump.
Yeah, you did. Y'all did.
The coolest thing is we learned a lot. And I'm so happy that we made a lot of money and lost a lot of money at that time. Yeah. But all of these, like we were saying, are real companies and you can't let them fool you for people that are just starting at the beginning. Try not to let these things fool you. They do have great ideas. I mean, I actually have one of the drinks right here.
Yeah, check that out.
This is actually KGKG's drink. That's Kona Gold right there.
KGKG.
Oh my God.
Cannabis stock.
Don't buy it, Alex. Drink doesn't taste that good.
the stock is complete shit now, but it just shows you that they do have real products. They have an idea, and they can trick you. They can trick you into things. So that's what happened with us. We figured it out that we lost like most of our money, but we know that you can make money.
Yeah.
So what do we do now? And we stumbled on the internet. We kind of were running across the internet trying to figure out what's next. And that's when we kind of ran into Tim, Roland, and all those guys. Exploring the internet and seeing what's going on.
I don't think Roland was there yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, he wasn't there, man. He didn't show up until. Like 2017 or 16, I think.
Grittani, him and Grittani were the big.
Yeah, Grittani's my man, dude. I love Grittani.
Grittani took advantage of that OTC mania, dude, and he crushed it. And so that just shows the potential. Like that's someone who's really good at it, putting in the work. And so that was our first time seeing it. So it's exciting to be around it now that we saw it, And this is back in 2014.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're still trading together. I mean, we're trading on our own, and then we started to talk to each other and say, we found guys like Tim Sykes, and we started to link, saying like, wow, it actually is possible. So let's kind of salvage what we have and put it together.
Yep.
And let's see if we can make this work with all 3 of our minds doing it the right way. We've had some experience, all of us, doing it on our own, and we're like, let's do it. We know what's going on. Tim kind of enforced that. Always cut your losses quickly.
Yep.
That was always, no matter what he said, even, whatever he was preaching, cut your losses quickly. So we didn't really know exactly what we were doing, but we knew, like, as long as we cut our losses quickly, we'll move on to the next one. And
That's right.
That's what I would say that was kind of the turning point where, things started to click, and the fact that we have three minds, and, we don't really buy the stock until we really all feel good about it. So
Really? Okay. So I was curious about that. Like, how do y'all determine, like, does y'all each have y'all's own way, or is it kind of like one way?
Yeah.
Dude, it's great that we all work together. It's awesome, man. And you just know, man, if you have three people that are all feeling pretty good about a stock, there's probably a good chance that it's gonna, do well. So
I bet that helps you guys with discipline too, though. I mean, because like let's say Alex is in a great stock, and then it's going crazy, and he's like, man, I just want to hold it for more and more, and then maybe Nick says, no, man, this is our profit target, we gotta get out. We gotta lock it in. And then Mike is like, so really, I could see how it could help you, but then I can also see how it could like mess up your mindset too. So I'm very curious because, if I want to do this trade and then Mike is over here telling me, man, I don't know, man, I don't feel good about that trade. And then I don't take it because I trust Mike. And I see it do what I want. That could be frustrating, but you guys are good friends. So it's just funny. I'm very curious how you guys dealt with that dynamic. Cause
we honestly, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what happens on the next trade, truthfully. As long as we stick to the plan, it's not, it's going to, whatever happens. We're not going to control the stock. So, if we miss it, whatever. If we play it, great. There's always going to be opportunities. So we don't really ever stress like one trade that is going to, make or break. The next trade, we might make $1,000. We might, lose a couple $100. But at the end of the day, as long as it's in the plan, that's what we strive for. As long as it's, just in the plan that we created prior, it is what it is, man. In the long term, your account will grow if you're sticking to the plan and you're actually buying stocks that are going to go higher. So.
Absolutely. I like that you said that. I like that you said you're not really focused on each trade. It's more of like next trade. It's over. It's over. Yeah. And that's so important for a lot of people who may be listening to this and might not be at that consistency yet, because it's tough to get over that, man. Like, I'm curious how you guys were able to, and everyone's different, but the answer is pretty much similar in terms of, you just got to forget about that trade. But how long did it take you guys to really get that discipline to be able to, this trade's done, it's over, next. Like, it doesn't matter. My previous was a big winner or a big loser. It doesn't matter, because how big winners can influence you too. So I'm just curious. Like,
no, we're not robots. Like, we love our winners, we hate our losers. Of course, it happens. But I don't know. It took at least a year for us to really, once we started trading together. It took us at least a year that we were still all over the place. Like, we were still getting high on our wins, and we were still like beating ourselves up for our losses. But it took a while. It's a really hard skill to develop, for sure.
Yeah.
So now that you guys are, go ahead.
So, sorry for interrupting, but one of the things that they are three. This is your first time doing a 3-person podcast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. This ain't the first time. Actually, I don't know if y'all have seen. We did I called it Trader Therapy, where I had myself, Jack Kellogg, Kyle Williams, and Harry Haas. We're all on it. We're discussing how the trading went that week. So definitely, this wouldn't be the first, but this is the second. Sure.
Dude, that's awesome,
that's
man.
a killer group,
bro. And that's one of the big things, man. It's key to have a group. Or hold the thought real quick. It's key to have a group like that, and just what you're doing is so crucial, because I give it to these guys for keeping me in the game. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be doing it still. And there's just so many ups and downs in that journey to find consistency. But dude, when you finally feel it, it just feels so good, dude. It's such a rewarding feeling, and everyone will get there. Like, we're not trading against geniuses. We're trading in our own little niche that we found, But dude, the biggest thing is, it took us a little bit longer, because 4 years, it was a process of finding our consistency and stuff like that. And now we're here to guide people to be that. We love talking about this. We actually started a group before we even had the stock sniper. Like he said, Green Rush. We even after Green Rush, we had a Dunkin' Donut group for a while. So just like all this together, it's an interesting niche, but it's a journey, the whole thing. And the biggest thing is having these guys. So like what you're doing, man, is awesome, man. And everybody out there, like get involved with somebody. I always recommend somebody starting an account with their friend, dude. Yeah,
I was so curious, because it was so wild to me that you guys did that.
Yeah.
I bet it helped in so many ways. Many ways.
where you may experience alone, where you're just like, screw that, dude. Where since they were there, they were like, dude, screw it.
Bro,
Like,
it's
that's
bigger
just one
than that.
loss.
It's
you
bigger
know?
than
Like,
that, man. It's bigger than that. Like,
Yeah.
You got to believe in the plan, believe in the process. Like,
Yeah.
and whatever happens, happens.
But that's
dude. Like,
that's tough doing it alone. I'm telling you.
yeah,
It is.
I'm telling you, dude.
It is.
For
And
sure.
Back to
Go
like
ahead,
he
my
was
bad.
saying, with like sticking to the plan, it kind of goes along with this. With us is like we always get into something knowing with how much we're gonna lose, or at least preparing that mental loss. So we actually we're trying to know what our plan is in our preparation to loss. So everybody that gets into a stock, they should have at least a plan in that situation. And if you do stick to that, and if you don't lose more than that, you will live on to see another day over and over again. And we have each other for that. But sometimes when it does slip below that, yeah, that's
Right.
the moment when you do need each other. And that's the moment when we did help each other out. But if
We
you
don't
do
experience
live,
that as much.
now that there's three of us, it's hard for it to slip past those moments now. So
That
it
makes
is.
sense. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you guys have all these checks and balances. Like it has to go through all three of y'all. You know, like
Dude, exactly. Hey, man, trust me. We're like it so happens where a lot of times we miss a lot of trades. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're very, but we have our set that we do shoot for. For that checklist, though, we do miss some. You know.
absolutely, absolutely.
100 studies, dude, which doesn't make any sense to us. I never understood like any studies, but somebody who's done 100 studies, they got to do 100 checklists. It's like, dude, But at the end of the day, it's just making that checklist for a better trade.
Yeah. So mid 2016, we started with $1,000 each. So we put
Okay.
$3,000 together in an account.
Yeah, that was the
In
start.
mid 2016, and we actually started to do well. We made like $4,000 or $5,000 on a $3,000 account.
Nice.
In about like maybe a 3-month period. So it was looking good to end 2016. But then 2017 started, and we didn't find that many winners. But the thing is that we were, like I said, we had found Tim Sykes, and we knew that no matter what, we were cutting losses. So we weren't finding winners, but we were cutting losses. So we were over like maybe a 9-month period in 2017. We drained that like $7,000 or $8,000 account all the way down to $500.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
$500. Dude.
Yeah, it was tough.
So we had 3K.
A picture of it.
Went up to about 7 or 8.
Yep.
And then for the next 9 months, just slowly. Nothing.
That emotion ride, man. That's
Yeah,
an emotional ride.
And then 9 months later, it was only $500. So we didn't really know what to look for, because what we had made money on initially, right when we opened the account together, was like the cannabis stocks. They were hot. There were gimmies. There were a lot of easy plays. Like there wasn't a wrong play to go overnight with. But it didn't happen anymore. Those OTC plays really they weren't there.
Yeah.
We were forcing some things that didn't work out, but we knew how to cut losses. So we just, we're cutting losses, and nothing really worked. But I think the turning point after 500, we grew 500 somehow miraculously.
We fell into the second wave of the cannabis.
We fell into the second wave.
So we saw what we
the
saw.
year went by,
and
and then,
came back again.
yeah, and then the beginning of 2017,
It was more states that legalized.
more states legalized, and the sector ignited again.
So the same stuff
We knew, we
about.
were ready. We were like,
Yeah.
wow, we've been waiting
They came
for this
back.
for 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going all in. We put the entire account
Yep.
into one of these stocks and made like 75% on $500
$500.
overnight. And boom, we were at 850. And then with that 850, we put about 700 into a stock, made 400 on it, and boom, we were at 1200. And we just slowly started gaining momentum in that sector, in that really sector that we knew how it was working.
It's funny.
We grew that 500 back to the 3K that we originally started with. And we were like, wow, there is a way. Like we've made 3,000, 5,000, in a period of a couple of weeks, multiple times. So we knew that there's actually a possibility that you can actually, make money in these stocks. So we were pumped. We were pumped when we actually got. Is it bad?
Yeah.
Cotton candy with zero sugar.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just.
I'll tell you what. Look, what was really interesting, Alex, is what you were saying just now.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you guys went 9 months, and first off, I appreciate the truthfulness and the humbleness. I love it, because it shows that, number one, there's going to be rough times, and there's people out there trading. I was trading. I sucked forever. And so I can tell you that for those 9 months, what your focus was cutting losses. And basically what you're saying is surviving. And because you guys survived, you were able to be ready and prepared and have money over to be ready for that big moment. And that big moment came, you took advantage of it, and then it got you on a big stride again. So I love that you shared that, because it really shows that that's why cutting losses is important. Not because, oh, I'm trying to save my account. Yeah, it's surviving. It's saving your account, but also because you're going to get it. And once you get it, then you can really start putting the money in and growing your account. Right now, all we got to focus on is surviving.
There's two things that we usually say that for beginners that first get in. One is, I think it's 100 trades or 1,000.
50 trades.
All right,
50 trades.
Let's say 1,000. That'd be too much.
That's a lot. I don't think you're going to survive.
50 or 100. If you can survive your account, if you load your account, you can survive. Like, say it's not gone in 50 or 100 trades. You should be at least starting. Like, it should be excelling now. You should feel it. Like 50 to 100 is when you should. That's how much you have to do until you actually start to feel it. That's our one thing. And then the second is an L. Like, a loss is not an L for losing. It's an L for learning.
It's always a lesson.
Yes,
you really learn from everything, from every L. If you can take one thing from it, then you should get better. If you don't take anything on it and you keep ignoring them and you throw them away, and they are losses, then you become a loser with the losses. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, so those are the two things that helped us at the beginning.
Yeah,
a lot.
Like Sniper Al called it, protecting the boat.
Protect the boat, baby.
Yeah.
You got to protect the boat.
You know, from Florida, so it just makes sense.
Find it perfectly with the story.
Dude, none of these stocks are worth it. We're not marrying any of these stocks. If it's not going to plan, next. You know what I mean? That's it. I'm sorry.
On to the next one. Let's
Even
go.
if sometimes there'll be situations where we'll get out and the stock will continue to go higher and we'll miss out on profits, but you can't beat yourself up about it. It's like
our best plays do that. Our best play, we came to find out. Like all of our best plays end up continuing. So for the most part, but honestly though, we've actually, it's pretty interesting now that we're trading a little bit more. Because we were sitting things like strict to plan, like as far as like cut and reward. But now, and as you get better, as far as the reward side, you can kind of adjust as you get better. And so now we kind of, you get to feel a little bit more about how the stocks trade to help you with that reward side.
Because you start to feel, like you just said, you start to feel, the better you get, the longer you've been doing this and like surviving, the more you survive this, the more you start to learn, the more you start to feel these stocks. Yeah. And you can start to see, you really start to pick up on these stocks in terms of personalities and how they act. And it's pretty awesome how you can see.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a great way to put it, dude.
Yeah, I completely see what you guys mean by, at first you were like, I'm going to take my profit here, take my loss here all the time. And that's smart. Like, I still do that. I like to take my profit at a certain target every time. But at the same time, there's certain plays where you're like, you know what? It's doing everything I want. It's acting right. There's no sign of this doing anything about reversal. I'm going to watch this closely, but I'm going to hold this out and ride it a little bit longer until I get a clear sign. And that's where you guys are at now, which is nice because it shows you that you're evolving as traders. Now, I'm curious because we're almost at the 30-minute mark, and I like to keep these around 30 minutes. And if anything, I love this talk, guys. So I love to bring y'all back in the future sometime. But here's the thing.
Fly us out.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm very curious. If there's one thing, like, since you guys teach now and help people, if there's one thing that always, that you've, or actually, let me ask you this question instead. What do you guys feel like is that one lesson that kept on hitting y'all in the face over and over and over that y'all are just like, damn it, I got to get this lesson so that way y'all can become successful? What was it for y'all?
Wow, that is a great one. For me, I think it was, obviously the cutting losses is like the hardest thing ever. But me, I think it was more not chasing these entries that are just running, and just letting yourself miss out on an opportunity. Because when you can finally sit back and miss out on something and feel all right, that's when you know you've done it a good amount of times. Because at the beginning, it's always like an instant, like, fuck, I missed this, and I got to get fucking in this shit. And then you chase it or something like that. That would happen a lot. It rarely happens to us as much anymore. It still happens. It's a natural thing. But that's what I would say definitely helped me a lot. And back to what you were saying, I just want to comment really quick. And it kind of helps with this question. Every stock, like you said, has a personality. And we're sports guys. So we always tell every one of our people that we train or teach and that want to know more is we treat them like pitchers, like baseball pitchers. And it's
The
cool
setups,
because
the setups.
your set, yeah, the sit-ups are all like baseball pitchers. Every pitcher pitches a different way, but they're all just trying to do the same thing.
Like the same 4 or 5 pitches. You
So
know?
if you get used to that same pitcher and then you see him again, you usually can do pretty good. You know, so back to what you were saying, like when you see that perfect lineup, and then if it's that same pitcher,
Yep.
you know, it's a jackpot.
Yeah,
Right there.
exactly. And feeding off that, what we always like to say is you also have to take into account, you know, say the pattern in the fastball. It can also be a hard pattern or an easy pattern. Where, for example, like it can be a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and be hard to hit, or it can be like a 70-mile-per-hour fastball over the middle, like a 52-week breakout that has news, that has volume, rather than a 52-week breakout that doesn't have news, it's lacking volume, you know? So that also comes into play too, you know?
But yeah, I had to bring that up.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I think would be is finding your pitch at first. You know, the biggest thing for me, I think my turning point was finding one good setup, and which really worked out at the very beginning was the OTC for screen days, and just being able to, we experienced a lot of those together. So really zoning down on one thing and seeing, oh crap, this is working over and over again. If you find something like that, just realize you're onto something. And it's okay if you're losing as long as you protect the boat. But if you see something that's working consistently, you're onto something, man.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and a lot of people from our group, they bring it up a lot of cool random stuff. Like one of our boys was bringing up a VWAP reclaim that he kept looking into, and that's anything, man. Just log it down. There's so much stuff. That's what's cool about this game. You can always learn. There's so much, you know?
Absolutely. I feel like
I would say probably really at the end of the day is the big jump for me is really like, because you talked about like with OTCs how there's slippage and stuff and how do you do it from the phone and stuff. We didn't really know any better in the beginning. That's the only thing we knew. We didn't know about trading on the computer, so we didn't even know about slippage or the possibility of something like that. But at the end of the day, what really turned it over was the conviction, like the belief. Like you have to believe. You have to really believe that you are on the right path. Like if you go in there wobbly, unstable about it, it's, you know, the stock can turn your emotions about it. So I think really just, you know, if you're getting in there, there's a possibility there's 30, 40, 50% upside in this move. So why are you worrying about the 1 or 2 or 3 or 5% downside that it might have? If that does happen, you just get out. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. You know that you are buying a stock, and like Mike said, waiting, not chasing in, waiting till you really feel good enough. Like all right, finally, you know, like finally I will get in the stock. You know, like you kind of have that. You have to have that, like, oh, I'm not getting in until I really, really feel good about it type of mentality. Yep. But once you do, you know, you have the belief that that's a really good pattern. So just get into that level where you have that conviction where you can really feel good about buying the stock, not feeling like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's going to hold or not.
Yep.
Nah, bro, this is going up 30% in the next hour. And if it isn't, I'm getting out.
That's a good point, because you could trade the best strategy in the world. I mean, some guy could come up to your office and be like, hey, show me the strategy that works for you guys the most. You show it to him, he can go home and he can not make money. Because if you don't believe in it, if you don't see it often, if you don't trust in the process, then you're gonna cut it every time you get some kind of weird movement, and then you're gonna take little paper cuts over time, and then that frustration will build up over time, and then once that frustration gets too big, then you're going to hold a bagger and you're just going to take it all home and just basically empty your account. So that, I think that's super important, man. Belief is so important in this game, because how many times, at least for me, I don't know about you guys, but how many times you enter a stock when you were first starting out and you thought this was going to happen, but then you cut it because you took maybe a 1 penny, 5 penny loss, and then it goes all the way to your price target. That's because we didn't have belief. And so or you don't accept your loss. It's one or the other. So you got to be able to accept that. But look, guys, I want to let you guys know that this was really awesome. Alex, Mike, Nick, this was a great time, and I really appreciate bringing you guys on the show. You guys are great. I love your story. I love the humbleness. I love the drive, and I love the excitement. So thank you guys for being here today.
Let's go, guys.